You have extra copies? I should have got copies of Bhagavad Gita's. Yes, there is one more I can see there. Even better. If you can find it, it's okay. If not, that's okay also, Venkatesh. Don't stress out. All right, wonderful. Thank you. No, it's okay. It's okay. Venkatesh said as long as you guys have it on the phone as well.
I have at least 50 books. Sorry, I could.
Actually, I should. Yeah, no problem. Yes, thank you. All right, we'll start. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजात्मां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभयश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर वासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे I thank our host today, Venkatesh and Madhuri Matsu, for opening the doors of their home and their hearts. And special thanks to Didi for coming all the way. And thank you, Praveen, for setting up the audio system. So we'll read few verses of Bhagavad Gita, and tomorrow is the divine appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. So we'll discuss a little bit about his pastimes, and we can get started like that. Achyuta Kumar Prabhu, where are we in Bhagavad Gita?
Looking up Prabhu, give me 1 second. We stopped at Bhagavad Gita 9:25, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Ninth chapter and 25th verse. I think we also did 26, right? Hare Krishna, going through. I'll also sit down. All right. Let's do 26. Anyway, this is a very famous verse, so let's do it. Ninth chapter, 26th verse. It's very famous. Kindly repeat after me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati padaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. Pooja, can you read the translation, please? Hare Krishna. Srivas, thank you for coming. Okay. Can you do the first paragraph of the purport as well, please?
For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental of the Lord. In order to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness, the process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor, without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that the process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone, because he is a self-sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti, or devotional service, is the only means to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never casual. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to the absolute whole.
Thank you. So, for a person who is very unaware of what Bhagavad Gita is, he might think that, God is also having a water problem just like us. That's why he is asking for some water, some fruits. But please understand that Krishna is a personality. Forget having water problems. He actually can give an entire planet to those who go and approach him. Dhruva Maharaj was so determined to avenge the insult that he received at the hands of his stepmother that he took a vow that I'll go to the forest and seek the Supreme Lord and ask him for a planet which is even greater than my grandfather's. Now, his grandfather, who was not a farmer, who was having 4 acres of land, his grandfather was Brahma, who possessed the highest planetary system in this world called Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. And Dhruva Maharaj wanted something even higher. So he went to the forest. As he was going to the forest, Narada Muni approached him. Please understand, Dhruva was at that time 5 years old. And Narada Muni said to him, "Yes, you're a boy of 5-year-old. You should be playing Xbox and other whatever. You should be playing games. You shouldn't take the insults of this stepmother pretty seriously. Why are you wasting your time? Just go back." And Dhruva said, "I'm very determined to achieve this. If you can help me, please help me. Otherwise, I'm going to the forest." So Narada Muni was testing him. So that is sometimes the job of a guru, to test. You'll say that, you approach that personality for initiation, he'll say, "Sorry, I can't give initiation. I don't know that." But then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also faced the same thing, where he was insistent. So Narada was very impressed. He said, "Look at the determination of this 5-year-old boy. He's not afraid of the forest. There could be ferocious animals. There could be starvation. And at a 5-year-old boy, you feel so psychologically dependent on your parents." So, please on. It's your call. I'm okay. So, so it is said in Bhagavatam that he was pretty strict for the first month. He just ate fruits every third day. For the second, it was pretty intense. Leaves, and by the time of 6 months, he was completely suspended his air, and because he had such mystical powers, it's very easy to get that. Not easy, but it's reasonably straightforward to get this kind of mystical powers, where you can become smaller than the smaller, lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heaviest. And because he had assimilated the entire universal powers into him, when he stopped breathing, the entire universe stopped breathing. And the demigods, they were really perturbed, and they approached Brahma. So, we have a little minor problem. We cannot breathe. And then they all went to the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord, I know why, he gave audience to Dhruva. And Lord Vishnu said, "I'm going to give you a planet higher than your grandfather, Dhruva Loka, around which all the planets revolve." And Dhruva must be very happy, because he got something higher than even what his grandfather had, which is Dhruva Loka. But Dhruva Maharaj, after, if there was a 5-year-old boy in that connection, he will be doing cartwheels, making sure you take then he'll ask Lord Vishnu, "Please give me some photos of Dhruva. I can't see it from here. I need to post it on my Facebook page or Instagram page." The brand new owner of Dhruva planet. But Dhruva Maharaj was like, here is the supreme absolute truth, who the yogis rarely even see, much alone, meet, or much alone see him even in their heart. Face to face, I got the darshan of the Supreme Lord. And this personality, within a fraction of a second, can sever the noose of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Okay, better. He said, "What did I ask for?" This personality can sever the noose of birth and death in a fraction of a second. Yogis spend lifetimes trying to reach it. In fact, Brahma Samhita says, Antastu koti shatavatsara sampragamya vayo rathapi manasomikam gavana syokyaste yatta padasina vichinde Govindadi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampagamyo. That, these yogis who go to the forest, who control breath, who are very strictly controlling the air that is flowing inside with the air that's flowing outside, after many lives of such severe control, can you see the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Yet Dhruva, see him in 6 months. So what did I do? Maybe the demigods corrupted my intelligence, and therefore I couldn't recognize. The story comes in Bhagavatam just to kind of tell us the point that even if you get the highest planet Dhruvaloka, you'll still not be happy in this world. It's just the nature of the soul that I'm stuck in the wrong place and I need to get out and go back to Krishna to get the highest happiness. And that same supreme absolute truth, he is saying, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Something is off here. Something doesn't make sense. Why would Krishna ask for a little water, a leaf, or a fruit, when he can give Dhruva his own planet, which is the highest planet of this entire universe? Isn't that a conundrum, a mystery? I'm worshipping Krishna. I should get something, and here he's saying he's asking something. But this is the absolute humility of Krishna, that he says, just give me that much and I'll be satisfied. And as Prabhupada says, who is that fool? Suppose, Pooja, what is your dream, whatever? You can fill in the blank, like dream mansion, dream boat, dream car, dream dress, dream perfume, dream whatever. Just throw in something. Even if you don't have any dream, just throw in something for the sake of throwing in. Huh? Flower, dream flower, what is it? Is it like grown somewhere in Himalayas and grows only once in 10 years kind of thing, and that's cost like $20,000 if you get one kind of thing? Something like that. Let's just take the example. And somebody says, here, take this flower for $1. That costs $20,000. Will you take it? Obviously, you will take it because it's such a good deal. Same thing Krishna is saying, that I'll be satisfied if you give me a little water, a leaf, a flower with love. Shall I tell a story? One of the charges leveled against Bhagavad Gita is, what sort of God is this that actually incites violence? Arjuna was a peace-loving person. He said, let my relatives take over the kingdom. I will go to the forest, live by begging. But this Krishna is a clever Lord. He actually incited Arjuna to go and fight. As a result, 4 million soldiers approximately were killed. And they left 4 million widows in the wake of that killing. So what sort of God is this? But please understand that Krishna, was the story. After 12 years of exile and 1 year in Yuga, the Pandavas, they came back to ask for their kingdom. And as we know the story, Duryodhana refused. Then there began an intense negotiations, intense efforts to make peace, to avoid this war. Yudhishthir actually sent a messenger to the Pandavas, to the Dhritarashtra, saying that please, this is the message, that we fulfill the terms, give us our kingdom back. And Dhritarashtra sent Sanjaya. And the message was quoted in such a way that they accused Pandavas of being greedy, ready to kill their own family members for getting the kingdom back. One of the worst things you can do is victimize someone and give them the bad name and not give them anything back. In effect, that was the thing. It was so horrible a reply, saying that be satisfied. You know, even worst insult to them was that you have friend Krishna in Dwaraka. He is the prince of Dwaraka. Go live with him. Don't bother us. We won't give our kingdom back. And that was really harsh. And Pandavas were shocked. And Krishna said, I will go on your behalf to Dwaraka, to Hastinapur, and I'll ask for the kingdom back. And Yudhishthir, the love of the Lord with him and his devotees is so intense that they said, forget our kingdom. Even if we don't get our kingdom, it's okay. But we don't want you to go to Hastinapur and get insulted. They are uncivilized people. They will not care about your supremacy. They are going to insult you. Please don't do that. It's okay if we don't get the kingdom, or we will fight the battle. But the love of the Lord and his devotee is so intense that Krishna says, if I personally don't go, then the whole world will blame you for inciting this war. At least people can come and say that Krishna even tried himself. Nothing came out of it. And the war is essential. He is the supreme absolute truth. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 26th verse. He says that I know everything that is happening in the past, or everything that's happened in the past, everything that's happening now, and everything that will happen in future. So he didn't know the context of when he went to Hastinapur, what will happen. He perfectly knew it. Yet, to protect his devotees and their reputation, Krishna said, I will go. And he went. Previously, Balaramji went to Hastinapur when he heard about the gambling match. And Duryodhana, by his clever tricks, he arranged for such a gorgeous reception of Balaramji. And Balaramji became satisfied. And he didn't press or chastise them too severely about usurping the kingdom of Pandavas. And Duryodhana thought, I'll play the same trick with Krishna. Arranged for a magnificent, opulent feast, the best of the cooks. And he arranged for the best of the luxurious palaces. I think it was Dushasan's palace. He said, please, let's put Krishna in there. You vacate for a few days. And Krishna came to Hastinapur. And Duryodhana was like, oh, come Krishna. And he was saying, we arranged for this magnificent feast for you. And you can stay in Dushasan's palace. And Krishna says, no, thank you. I'm going to stay in the house of Vidura. Vidura, he's our servant. He's a Shudra. His house barely fits him. It's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. And we have like the whole castle. He says, no, thank you. And then he goes. And Vidura was not expecting Krishna to come. He was really in the wrong books by that time, because Vidura was such a personality. He always opposed Duryodhana's nefarious activities. He was always telling Dhritarashtra, please don't fight with Pandavas. You'll lose your kingdom. You'll lose your son. He didn't listen. So in the end, what happened? That Krishna went and stayed with Vidur. And we know that whatever simple food stuff Vidura's wife made, Vidura offered him with love, and the Lord accepted it. And we know the famous story of how he offered the peel of the banana rather than banana itself, and the Lord accepted it. It just shows to see how intense is Krishna's love, that it transcends our material conditions. We may be suffering, we may be poor, we may be unemployed, or we may be super rich. Krishna really doesn't see that. If he saw that, then the only way to go back into spiritual world is to earn a lot of money. And in fact, it's exact opposite in these cases. That those who have so much of money, they are really diverted from the aim of life to understand Krishna. So this is such a beautiful verse that Krishna says, just offer me a leaf, a fruit. Offer me with love. All right, you can continue reading the purport, please. Bhakti, you read the next paragraph. That's okay. Sorry, and then you can read the last paragraph.
This way here, right? Here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what type of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him. And he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetable, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human being and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him since he will not accept it. Thus, we can't be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods.
Thank you. No, I'll just, no. So one thing is, so what's wrong in offering meat? Because Krishna is saying that every living entity belongs to me. And if a father has like 2-3 sons, right? One son, he goes to the one elder brother or younger brother, takes a gun, robs all his money, and then takes that money and gives to the father. Father, look, I've got something for you. Well, how did you get it? Well, I just beat up my brother and took all his money and gave it to you. Will the father be happy? No, the same thing, because Krishna, every living entity belongs to Krishna. And poor animals only have their bodies. They don't have bank balance. They don't have PhD degrees. They don't have cryptocurrency hidden somewhere. They just have just their bodies. That's it. To slaughter those animals just to for the sake, it's a very egregious thing to do. But then how do we live? You have to commit violence to live, right? Because even if you pluck animals belong to Krishna. The plants belong to Krishna as well. So even if you pluck animals, then are you not causing the same violence? So the answer to that is, the way the system Krishna created is that you live by eating another living entity. That is just a law of nature. How much ever you try to invert it, it's impossible. I'm a little scared of the fact that while it's a good attempt, these days there is the meat that is being manufactured from some vegan stuff, or they're trying to make the culture out of labs and then do it something. I wish them all the best, but the essential nature is that you will I'm happy to, don't get me wrong, at least that way, by trying to create vegan meat, and there is an awareness, at least beef you shouldn't never eat. There is a magazine called Epicurus, which is like a very magazine that publishes a lot of recipes and cooks and cookbooks and everything about tongue. That, so they banned beef. They realized that slaughtering cows is actually causing so much of disturbance to the planet. They banned it. So that's a good sign. People are like kind of realizing it. But the essential nature is jivo jivasya jihanam. You have to live by eating another living entity, whether it's animal or whether it is plant. But when you offer plants, then you minimize the karmic effects that you are taking, because what you eat really defines who you are. It's a simple example. For example, if one consumes alcohol, then will that person be allowed to drive excessively? Why? It's the same person. I do have a license. He'll be slaughtering. I do have a license, but you're drunk. But I'm the same person. But the thing is, what you consumed actually transformed your ability to drive, to reach from this destination to that destination. So similarly, eating meat actually, or anything that is not prescribed in scriptures, covers one's knowledge, covers one's sense of devotion, and more importantly, covers the compassion. So, so that's the reason why Krishna says no. That's why he says Patram Pushpam, and it's easy. It's easy to get. Questions, comments, concerns. Praveen, you had a question? Yes. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, if you could elaborate on the why the karmic reaction for eating plants, or you know,
The species are created in such a way that the consciousness or the pain perception is less amongst the trees than the animals. And as you, I was having this debate many years ago with a person of another faith who said this, and I kind of thought carefully about it. I mean, I am committing some violence when I'm eating plants. Then my mind went back to when I was a child. You know, my parents, they were, my father was working abroad at that time, and he left. They were. My mother joined him during the summer break, and I was with my grandparents in the village. And they were farmers, so I used to join them when they had to harvest the crop. I saw that when you don't, they said don't harvest the crop because it's green, because it's still green, it's alive. You have to, when the crop is completely dried up, then only you can harvest it. Because if you do harvest crops which are not yet ready, then I saw it, the crops actually they are almost dead by that time. You know, when you try to harvest the grains, actually they are almost done. Their life is gone. They're just giving us the grains. And when you pluck fruits and flowers, you are not completely killing the tree. You're just plucking it, and they'll come back again. That's the role defined for that living entity to subsist. Because Bhagavad Gita actually talks about dharma, and we have the dharma is used and abused and used in so many ways. But essentially, dharma is translated as something that can sustain. Dharma is taken as faith. Sometimes, if what is your dharma? Well, I'm a Hindu dharma. What is your dharma? I'm Christian dharma. What is your Muslim dharma? The question is dharma something that can be changed? So the root of dharma means that which sustains, that which is an inalienable part of you that doesn't change. For example, you know, I give Mataji here some sugar, and she takes it and it tastes salty. So is it sugar? If the taste is salty, is it sugar? It is? No. So the sweetness is something which is the intrinsic part of being a sugar. Take sweetness out of sugar, it no longer is. So what is it, the living entity or Atma, what is one fundamental thing that taken out has no longer called an Atma? And then that is defined as some service, seva. You have to serve somebody to exist. And that is a very common perception. How many of us say that, oh my God, this is Monday morning, so beautiful and excited, I want to go to work. I just can't go to work and be absorbed in work. And then at the end of year performance, we go, oh my God, I just can't wait. I've been waiting all this year for the performance review to come. Oh, so exciting, job interview. Just so wonderful. It's like, you really do this. You are forced to, because you know that intrinsically these things are needed to maintain your body. And Krishna says you have to maintain the body. So the very essence is that without doing that, you cannot survive and you cannot serve others, maintain others. So service to others is how you live, or how you live, or dharma is what that is. But the problem is, then people say, okay, I'm doing my dharma, then why are you bothering me with all this Bhagavad Gita and spiritual things? When we serve, unless that service is for Krishna, the heart is not satisfied. Therefore, in the name of unconditional love and relations, people try to serve so many things in this world, yet their service attitude is met with like not the perfection. Like, yes. But when that service attitude is deposed and directed towards Krishna, the heart feels such intense joy. And then Bhagavatam says, Yayatma Suprasidhati. Like, what can I do to make my heart completely peaceful and satisfied? And then Bhagavatam says, Savaivam Saparo Dharma Yato Bhakti Radokshri Ahayatuti Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidhati. Not Prasidhati. Completely satisfied. Because the jiva is wandering in this world trying to see how can I serve and where my service can meet the highest approval, highest reciprocation, and that comes from Krishna. And then Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, it is that exchange of love that's happening that gives the person who is offering something to Krishna, not that Krishna needs something, but he gets the highest form of love. And that is Bhakti to Krishna. It's pure love and service to Krishna. And that's why we are doing what we are doing. Krishna doesn't need our money or anything. In fact, it is said that one Lakshmi Devi, people in this world try to passively please Lakshmi Devi. They do this many things. Krishna says Lakshmi Shatasambrama Sevyamana. There is like thousands of Lakshmis are waiting to serve Krishna. So really, what does he need? All he has to do is desire. Just say, let this happen, and it will happen. His Shaktis, Jiva Goswami writes in Bhagavad Sundarbha, the Shaktis are so intense that they automatically fulfill the desires. Just like a very intimate confidant or a secretary, he exactly knows the mood and mission of his or her master, and immediately it's done. The master just has to say some sign, that's it. Just a sign of, I need this. You don't have to even speak, yet it happens. Yes or yes? So Krishna, he has so many energies, unlimited, and fulfilling every desire. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, give me something. And how humble is Krishna even to ask that? And that word of Krishna are there for the last 5,000 years, and they'll be eternally there. And which fool, as Prabhupada writes, if this is the opportunity to serve Krishna, which fool doesn't take it? Yes. I can ask a question and repeat it to the audience.
My manager is a Brahman. So recently, during a one-on-one conversation, she was telling me, I think her kids are in Bhakti. One of them is like, so basically, she was convinced that maybe eating is okay. So she was telling me that in the olden days, meat was limited, so only kings used to eat meat. So that's why they used to tell all the common people don't eat meat.
So that's how like people saved meat from kings and not from other people. I was like, okay.
So,
How do I respond to that in next one-on-one?
The Mahabharata war was fierce. And Bhishma was for first few days going through and always changing, correct me wherever. No, in terms like I think almost 8-9 days Bhishma Dev was the commander in chief of the Kaurava army. And for 8-9 days he was holding back. The war was really fierce. It, and Arjuna was out of love for Bhishma, he was fighting but not fighting the same way he would fight anybody else. And Krishna was urging him, please, you have to defeat Bhishma. You have to defeat Bhishma. And he was trying, but Bhishma was not relenting. Bhishma was like really going full force at him. After a particular exasperated phase, you cannot kill Bhishma. He is slaughtering our troops. And Krishna took up the wheel. He said, I'm going to kill Bhishma. And he took up the wheel of the chariot. Because he was urging Arjuna all day long and few days before it didn't work out. And Krishna was like, I'm going to protect him. He took up the wheel and ready to kill Lord Bhishma. And we see that beautiful photo of Bhishma rushing towards Krishna. And Krishna's upper garment was just falling off. And then, his whole body was, having wounds. And the blood was flowing along with his perspiration and the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. He looked very, very beautiful. He was rushing like a lion against this elephant, Bhishma. And Bhishma was so happy. He's just opened arms. Please, Krishna, kill me now. And Arjuna was, oh my God, what did I do? He jumped from his chariot and caught hold of Krishna's feet. Krishna was so powerful. Arjuna was not a lightweight 100 or 80 pound person. He was so powerful, Kshatriya, that he could withstand. He could withstand unlimited number of people and shoot arrows. But when he caught hold of Krishna's feet, Krishna dragged him 10 yards with Arjuna clutching his feet. So he said he will not take up any weapon. And the whole world will blame you forever for taking up this weapon and killing Bhishma. Please don't do this. I'll fight to my best. And Arjuna was successful in convincing Krishna, please don't go kill. And then the fight resumed, and then Arjuna, he shot arrows at Bhishma. And it seems the arrows were so densely populating. The arrow actually went and it came from the back. And so the arrow was sticking out of the body. Not one arrow. By the time Arjuna was done, there were so many arrows in Lord Bhishma's body. There was no gap between one arrow and the next. And with that arrows densely packed, he fell back. And he was lying on the bed of arrows. And all the Pandavas and Kauravas came around Bhishma. And they offered his condolences. And Bhishma Dev said, I need a pillow because he was hurt up to this neck. And then he was lying. And Arjuna gave him a pillow. And then he said, I want water. And then everybody started getting water and food and opening their lunch boxes. I'm just joking. But Bhishma Dev said, no, I'm done. So Arjuna shoots a arrow into the earth, and Mother Ganga comes. So for 56 days, Lord Bhishma Dev is waiting for the moment. He was from Dakshinayana and he was waiting for the sun to go in Uttarayana. He was waiting for a proper time to leave his body. And even though he had so many arrows for so many days, he had the desire, he had the boon from his father that he can decide when he wants to put his body. So that time death will kind of stay back. Death will not even come. Otherwise, death is not going to send a text message before visiting you. Or, send a meeting invite in your Outlook and, accept, deny, maybe, doesn't work. I mean, like, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a very important meeting, nothing. It really doesn't matter. But Bhishma had that power. The reason why Bhishma didn't give up the body, and one day after the war was over, all the Pandavas went back to Hastinapur, and Krishna was sitting meditating one day morning, and Yudhishthira asked, Krishna, what are you meditating on? He said, my devotee Bhishma is about to leave his body. I need to see him. So by that time, the war was won, and again, Yudhishthira should have celebrated with lot of parties. Did he celebrate? No, he was in deepest possible depression. Because of me, because of my greed, so many people were killed, and I'm going to hell for killing. It's exactly the same fears that Arjuna had. Oh Krishna, if I kill these soldiers, then all the Pinda and other oblations are stopped, and I'll go to hell for destroying the family traditions. And the same thing happened with Yudhishthira. He said, I'm going to hell for killing so many people. I really don't want to become the king. And Bhima was like hot-tempered person. Yeah, you should have told her earlier. Yeah. We should just wasted so many days just fighting for you and putting our lives at risk. And everybody convinced him. Krishna convinced him. Please, he become the king. And then there was a reason why Krishna failed again in his mission to convince Yudhishthira, because he said, "Let's go meet Bhishma Dev. We can get instructions from him on how to become the king. Do all the Rajadharma." So they go out to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and Mahabharata says that Yudhishthira asks some very mind-boggling questions. And so, but before that, they all go to the battlefield. Bhishma is lying there. And Krishna says, my dear Bhishma, Yudhishthira has come to ask you some questions. Please answer him. And Bhishma says, Lord, for 56 days or so I have been lying here. Every square millimeter of my body is in excruciating pain. I have neither eaten nor drunk any water. He didn't touch any food or water for that 56 days. However, I think from a doctor's perspective, if you have those many arrows, how will the food even pass? I was thinking about it. Makes sense. I mean, if you have arrows everywhere, the food will not even go through your digestive system. It will not even enter into your stomach. But he's a mystic personality. I was just thinking from that perspective. He says, for 56 days I have been lying here. No food, no water. My mind is clouded. And I can't recollect anything. So how can I answer these questions? And then Krishna gives him the boon that till you give up your body, you will neither suffer hunger, nor you will suffer any thirst, nor will you have any slightest pain in your body. Your memory and your intelligence will be as sharp as ever. So please answer these questions. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj starts asking questions. Amazing questions. One question on a very practical level. I'll not answer or go into it, but he asks this question: when there is a union between man and woman, who gets greater pleasure? Is it the man or the woman? To that level, he asks those questions. But then one of the questions he asks is, are Kshatriyas allowed to eat meat? So Bhishma answers this question. In those days, it was not that meat was limited. In fact, you should tell the person that the animals were so many in those days, that forest coverage was so much. Obviously, there were more animals. So the animals were so many in those days. So killing them was not a problem. But killing animals is forbidden in any scriptures. Christians, they say thou shalt not kill. In Muslim, there is halal. Strictly, they won't even eat meat unless it's halal. So in the Vedas also it is mentioned that killing an animal and eating it has to be done strictly under some regulations. Since those regulations don't happen every day, or there are no regulations, meat was eaten. And there was a reason, because eating meat, Bhishma says that that kind of eating meat after a Vedic sacrifice is allowed for a Kshatriya, but please understand one thing, that even eating that meat causes severe consequences. And if you kill a cow and eat it, you have to live in the hell for as many years as there are hair on the cow's body. Let's start with the tail, the bunch of the tail. That is enough for at least 1 million years or so. So please tell that every scripture has an injunction against eating meat. Forget you don't have to, and make sure your job is okay. And I'll come to that point, practical point little later. Then he said that even that meat eating is risky. So if you avoid eating meat, because when you eat meat, it actually transforms the body. It transforms your mind and your spirit. Your sense of compassion is destroyed. Your spiritual life is destroyed. Because people say, what's the problem? If you don't have a goal, then anything you do is okay. Because your mind is just impelling you, an uncontrolled mind is just pushing you. Your tongue is urging you to do all sorts of stuff. I'll come to you. But when you have spirituality in place, the other example I give, you have something to add to that, or you have another question?
So I really struggle with this because a lot of people around me, like everybody I know in America, is not a devotee because I just became I cannot even say I became a devotee. I can say I came to ISKCON, and I've had very long arguments about this, but people don't want to agree to my point of view. Whatever you said is so logical. I 100% agree with it. But what kind of a world are we living in where the majority of the world eats cow? And I don't know how to have compassion for these people because I cannot go living in this world saying, you guys are all monsters. That's not a living I want to have. But it really troubles me and it bothers me so much. So I really need some advice how to look at this world when the majority is doing what you are saying is prohibited in all scriptures.
So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvashah Ankara Vimudatma Kartaham iti Nidhi. That every living entity has their desires in this world. Whether those are desires positive or negative, you cannot deny them. Neither are you inducing them to eat beef, nor are you giving them the results of doing such activity. So all we can do is be compassionate upon them, knowing that it's such an unfortunate situation. If you go to a patient who's severely suffering and you have the medicine, and the patient refuses to take, in fact, hurls abuses at you for giving the medicine, what can you do? Seriously, what can you do? So, English Prabhu in the same way, your manager is like so determined and adamant and so attached and doesn't have that spiritual vision. There's only so much you can do to tell them. If they are adamant on clearing their way to their own inconvenient destination, to put it mildly, what can you do?
She's a vegetarian too, but one of her kids is non-vegetarian. She's trying to convince us.
Actually, Krishna says even vegetarianism is something nothing to be proud of, because the thing is, Krishna says that whatever you eat will bind you to this material world. Vegetarianism binds you less, or doesn't. If you are a vegetarian, at least you are guaranteed not to go to hell. You will come back to this world. Mostly as a human being. Mostly as a human being. Depending on what you eat. Because monkeys in the forest are really vegetarians. They're strict vegetarians. Eat only salads every day. They are not even cook. But the thing is, and then there are giraffes, there are elephants, strict vegetarians. But again, it's not a conducive body for spiritual advancement. So when you don't have the goal as spiritual advancement, then there is hard to argue, and it's better not to argue. there was an example. If an athlete is training for Olympics, like seriously, right? You have some friends or people at school. I want to go to high school and get a sports scholarship and go on to win Olympic gold medals. Maybe not in Cooper, but in other places. Because the high school that is next that my daughter is going to is very famous for sports. It's like they go, the students go there, and of course it's a different ethnicity of students that go there, but they go there to win. They go to Stanford based on the sports scholarship, not on the academic stuff. So that person, if he has to, if he or she wants to win the Olympic gold medal, will they party out every night and drink alcohol and waste their life? Will they just eat pizza and pasta and French fries and milkshake with cream every day and put on 45, 50 pounds? No, they reject all these things. Are they stupid to not enjoy? No, they have a goal and they're refusing it. But when we do it in the name of spiritual advancements, they say you guys are crazy. You guys are not enjoying the world. So because they don't know the ultimate goal of life, because that is the case, then how can you argue? Just cannot argue. So we have a goal, and that's why we are doing what we are doing. It just makes sense. Yeah. So do the best you can to convince. But if that person is adamant or they are blind in love of their children, and to the extent that anything is okay, you can't hardly help them. Don't try, because ultimately, again, it becomes a very, for a non-work related work, your work gets involved and becomes like a collateral damage. Yes, sir, yes, sir. It's from nowhere. It's so and that causes anxiety. That causes anxiety to us. Our own spiritual life will be at stake. So we become pretty savvy in terms of who to kind of or who not to, who will listen and who will not listen. Yeah, otherwise it just disturbs, and then you'll be thinking, God, I'm trying to push your agenda onto this person, and now I'm suffering. So you are not helping me. Why God? He'll help, but just make sure that we are, our level also is kind of in that position. So which how are we doing on time? It's like usually there's something which is so negative. I give it a new nice term. It's a once in a lifetime experience. Means I'll never do it throughout my life. But he can turn it around, that phrase. If you really, with all due respect, if you really, really, really dislike that person, nice meeting you. It's been a once in a lifetime experience. So, Venkatesh, are you also feeling it? Calling me has been a once in a lifetime experience, and how are we doing on time? Okay, we'll stop at 8. We'll have some kirtan. And then we can call it today. I think few devotees also might want to go to Mangalarti tomorrow. So and then Srivas came all the way from Snava. I'm so grateful that you came. So grateful that you came. So on the topic of protection, Prahlad Maharaj was born of Hiranyakashipu. And we know the story of how Hiranyakashipu was the demon. Of course, he was a transcendental demon because he was Jay and Vijay from Vaikuntha. And how that he became a devotee right from the womb, when he was in the womb of his mother. Actually, what this interesting story was that Hiranyakashipu gets very angry at Lord Vishnu because Lord Vishnu had killed his brother Hiranyaksha in the form of Varaha. To take revenge on Lord Vishnu, he performs severe austerities. The austerities that are mentioned in Bhagavatam are something like this. He goes into the forest. He stands on 1 feet, not even on the 1 feet, on the toe of that feet. And he raises his arms up. He tried once. It lasted for about 5 seconds. He's not even on 1 toe, just on 1 feet. He stood there, it is said, for 1,000 years, according to the demigod's calculation. Rain, sun, doesn't matter. In fact, it's mentioned in Bhagavatam, the ants started crawling up his body and eating up his body. And by the time he was done, he was just merely a skeleton. A big anthill had formed around him. And it's cruise. It's what's that? Disney cruise boats, right? When you have food and we are living in the same house, so what more do you want? So they had food in the form of Hiranyakashipu and they built an ant around it. And the whole universe was heating up like flow. Then Brahma came and he asked, what do you want? And he took some water from his commander, threw on the skeleton of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu came, his body became strong. Brahma asked, what do you want? And then he said, I don't want to die. Simple. And Brahma said, oh, that's a small problem. I myself will die. I can't give you that. All right. I don't want to die during day. I don't want to die by a weapon, by ants. You name the list, he said. I don't want to die in the sky, on the inside the house, outside the house. What else? Morning or night, during day or during night. He put out a huge list. Sorry? Man or animal. Excellent, man or animal. Because he learned from his previous life, Ravana. No, okay, that's past, that's future. No. It's later. Hiranyakashipu are first. And then his son, and then he dominated the whole universe. In fact, it is said he controlled all the demigods. Bhagavatam says that he merely had to raise his eyebrow, and the demigods would be trembling. These are the demigods who are the powerful controllers. He was always drunk, intoxicated, and just chastising demigods for no reason. Very proud, arrogant. The whole world became, okay, you are the god in that level. And here he had so when he went to forest to perform austerities, the demigods became scared. Anytime, anywhere in the world, somebody performs austerities, the demigods become a little uncomfortable. They think that this person is gunning for my post. We need to do something. So the demigods thought this fellow Hiranyakashipu went to forest to perform austerities. Here is his pregnant wife with Prahlad. How much more powerful this Prahlad will become and a problem to us. Let's kill right now. And they try to kidnap his mother, Kayadu. And the goal was, as soon as she gives him birth, then kill. In the modern context, especially in the Ukraine war, it's become so barbaric that pregnant women are killed. In Vedic times, women were never killed, ever. Pregnant, never. Even the demigod said, we will wait for her to deliver the child. Our goal is the son, not the mother. So, and then Narada came, he said, please, the person you are about to kill is an exalted devotee. So you can see how the threat of death was there for Prahlad even before he was born. The demigod said, we'll kill him. And then Narada said, nope, he's an exalted personality, don't kill him. And so Narada took Kayadu to his ashram and he was telling about Bhagavatam and the Supreme Lord, and Prahlad was listening from his womb. And he became an exalted devotee. And then when he was born, he was sent to Gurukul to be taught. And then because he had that knowledge of Vishnu, his teachers Chanda and Amarka tried to brainwashing out of performing devotional service to Vishnu, but he was like that. And when his father asked him, "What did you learn?" He said, "Shravanam Kirtanam." So performing of devotional service to Vishnu is the highest. And father became furious. Vishnu is my enemy. How dare my own son? When the whole universe is praising me, thinking me as God, how dare you kind of say that, worship Vishnu, my enemy? And he tried to do in so many ways. At last he tried to kill him. He started to, the amount of tortures that he did was like, put him in the jail, don't give him food, starve him, throw him off the mountain tops, put him under elephants, throw him in a pit of deadly snakes, then put him into fire, throw him into the ocean. Everything was tried to kill him. And Hiranyakashipu was getting really anxious. I had to work so hard to get the boon of death, insurance from death. I had to work so hard. This boy, he's not done much at all. He's 5 years old, yet he's being. I tried to kill him to my best, and he's not subject to death. And then one day he says like, what is the source of your power? How dare you oppose me? And Prahlad says, the source of my power is the source of your power. The source of all our power, that is Krishna. And then he says, shows the pillar. Is your God in there? If he's spread everywhere, yes, he's there. And then he takes a huge mace and blows the pillar, and Nrsimhadev Bhagavan comes. And there's a huge fight between Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimhadev kills him. So we will just sing that prayer, Lord Nrsimhadev, and then we will stop. All glories to Lord Nrsimhadev. Lord Nrsimhadev is meant to protect us from our obstacles, and we pray today on his divine appearance tomorrow that may he also be kind enough to destroy all the obstacles that are there on the path of our evolution. So for those who may not have lyrics, it should be okay, right? Namaste Nrsimha, everybody should know. I'll try. Okay, I'll wait for you to pull it up. No, I'll wait for you to pull up, please. No, take it. Right. When you are there, and after that, I will recite few mantras for the auspiciousness of everybody in this house, and those who assembled here, and everybody in Silicon Valley. May they actually get the benediction of Lakshmi. You there? Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
अवतार कमलवरेण अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा जगदीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव
जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव
जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा
भगवान
जय
So we'll just sing like just for 3 minutes the Mahamantra. And then we'll offer some prayers to Narasimha, and then we'll have the best part. Shabbos. Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Vikara Shivate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mainstay Saraswati Devi Dharma Karana Devi Shesha Shinvadi Pastimes Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Nityananda Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nityananda Hari Bol.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai.
So I'll offer three prayers and then this is prayers for God personally, for protection for all of us. Everybody here in Silicon Valley, in California, in US, in Europe. Vageshayasya vadane Lakshmi yasyasya vakshasi Yasyaste hridaye samvit Tam narsimham aham bhaje Prahlada hridaya aladam Bhakta vidya vidaranam Varindur chimbande Savindravadhanam harim Shri Narsimha Jai Narsimha Jai Jai Narsimha Radesha Jaya Padma Mukhapadma Ugrayokyanugrayevayam Svabhaktanam Nakesari Srivas Vakotanam Anayesha Uddhavittamah Yada dasyasi me kaman varadam svan varadarshava Amanam hidyatam roham bhavatastu me varam Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastejase Aviravir Vajranaka Vajradamstra Karmasaya Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsagasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuvishta Om Shro. Sorry, is there anybody online who has questions?
Yes, bro. Yes, Prabhu. We have Anil Prabhu, Naveen Daulat Prabhu, and Sita Mataji and Venu Prabhu.
We have 5 questions. 5 questions? 4, 5 questions. I see.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, if there are any online questions, you will ask.
Sita Venu, not really. No.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, and thank you for the wonderful class today. Could you explain the significance of the number 18 in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Gita?
Naveen Daulat Prabhu has a message in the chat box. So Prabhuji says, Hare Krishna, we had the fortune of visiting Ahobilam sometime back, where Lord Narasimha performed his Leela. If visiting India, Ahobilam visit with the devotees would be auspicious.
Yes, thank you. Indeed auspicious. That's it? Alright. So, you have the Prasadam, please. Mahaprasade Govinde
Mahaprasade Govinde
Namo Brahmane Vaishnave
Namo Brahmane Vaishnave
Svalpa Punyavatam Rajan
Svalpa Punyavatan Rajan
Vishwaso Naiva Jayate
Vishwaso Naiva Jayate
Mahaprasadam Ki Jai. And thank you all for those online attending in person who came.
Prabhu, just to say, they were saying that we are not getting their audio. To us seems everything is right.
Oh,
Yeah.
they couldn't hear at all?
No, we cannot hear them. That's what
Oh, I see. I see.
They say that they can hear us, but we are not able to hear them.
Can they type the questions in chat otherwise?
Prabhu,
Yeah, I think they should.
can you hear now?
वो जो माइक चेंज किया ना आपने उसके बाद आराम हो गया इट्स नॉट रिलेटेड
Hare Krishna, Venu Prabhu, can you please write your question in the chat box? What is the significance of 18 in Bhagavad Gita? Number 18.
18 chapter verse?
Just the number 18.
18 chapters 18 days of fight.
Oh,
18 chapters significance.
oh, nothing. No, not that I'm aware of. Because in Bhagavad many numbers come up. You know, the Lord is expanding in threes, or his energies and 3 is 11. So every number has some significance. It's not particularly one number is better than others. Of course, there is 108, which is the gopis and Puranas and so on and so forth. But otherwise, not that I'm aware of the significance.
Okay.
There was just a follow-up comment saying that the war of Mahabharata was also for 18 days. So that's why the question came up. And
Why there are only 12 cantos? So I think there's no. 18,000. Well, it's not exactly 18. Somewhere 17 some change. It's not exactly 18. That's what my understanding. I never counted all the verses. It's really an interesting exercise. You should see. 18 lakhs, 18 crores also.
Yeah. Achyut Kumar Prabhu says, thank you so much, Srivas Pandit Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. We miss the in-person association.
Likewise, I missed the in-person association as well. But next time I should come. Thank you.
Sita and Venu says, thank you, Prabhuji, wonderful class, and thank you for taking the question.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you both in person soon. And thank you. Manchakalpa Karubhyascha.
Namo Namaha.